And we're on. Okay, everyone. Welcome to Maidencast EP2. We are on to Killers. And I sent Luke a pretty long list today of all the albums we're going to do. And I've got to say, it was a bit of a
next year of my life.
It's 45 albums in total we've got to do. And I'm assuming... Well, we've got a new project from Adrian coming up.
Yeah,
isn't there talk of
with Richie Kotzen? We can't say that.
Why is that?
Because he's not allowed to say it yet. So we've just outed it.
Oh.
So
how do you know if we don't?
Everyone's fucking known. People have taken pictures of him and Richie Kotzen on like Monaco Beach and stuff like that.
Apparently, there's a Bruce Dickinson solo album in the works or in the pipeline. I don't know if it's...
he talked about that in his book tour, didn't he? He said he was going to do another one.
I thought that would have been out by now. It's not as if he was going to tour it, you know.
Let's not fuck about. We would have had a Maiden album if it weren't for COVID. So
yeah,
because they postponed the Legacy of the Beast tour, didn't they? That would have been done by now. The new album would have been out now, and they'd been gearing up for the new album tour.
The tour's cancelled.
No, they did. It's gone back to summer next year. So it's basically put Maiden on hold for a year.
Oh, I thought...
Which when the drummer's fucking 67, that ain't no good.
Right, well, there must be some dates they cancelled then. Either that...
but it was the vast majority. They rescheduled. There's some they had to cancel, obviously. But no, so we should have had the new album out by now.
So, all right, so you're pretty... There's an album... But then again, I don't know. Because
it was all over Twitter and Instagram that Kevin Shirley was in the studio, Maiden were in France. You know, it's like, it's too coincidental just to happen. The album's in the can, ready to go.
Because Onslaught we're talking about, because Onslaught are killing it now. Yeah. They're like the most successful album of their careers. It's charted in America and everything. And he was saying, Nigel was saying that he knew of a load of bands that were putting their album on hold, and he went, I didn't see the point. Everyone's at home. Everyone's itching for stuff to do.
Well,
he said, when I didn't see the point, I thought, get it out, and it seems to have worked. So, anyway, right, so we're on to Killers. I've got my signed edition there, ladies and gents. I've got this new one here. Again, there's a track missing, or a track added, depends how you look at it. I don't know why they reissued them with the extra track, only to take them out with these other reissues. I've got an original print here, again signed by Paul. I actually got that. One of my relatives was having a clear out. And I didn't realise she was I say metaler, she's more of a rocker. But yeah, there was just that in the pile. And I thought, well, I'm fucking grabbing that. And then last birthday or two ago, someone got me this for my birthday, like a new one, which is exactly the same. They went, I wanted to get you a record, and I knew you liked Iron Maiden, so I hope this is all right. I went, yes, of course it is. Didn't have the art to tell them that I already had about 5 different versions of it, but still nice to have. So yeah, carrying on from episode 1, this is basically a upgraded version of the first album. Whether that's in quality of songwriting, we'll get into in a minute, but when I say upgrade, there was a few new parts. The artwork
we've got, before we delve into Killers, Joe, we've got to discuss the oddity in Maiden's career, which is women in uniform.
Was that before? That was after this?
No, Dennis Stratton played on it. It was before it.
Oh, right.
It was their first video as well, and it was Stratton's last recorded work. And I always thought it was a bit of a weird one because it was a cover. And it's like, who the fuck made Steve Harris do a cover and actually put it out live, like as a recording? But apparently, I've done some research, got me notes here. It was a song by an Australian band called Skyhooks. And I actually checked the original out for the first time ever while I was doing research for this, because I've always avoided it like a clap, and it's weird. And Maiden, it's basically Steve Harris was like, apparently their publishing company Zomba, they wrote Maiden into doing it, and they got AC/DC producer. I can't think of his name now. Tony, I think it was Tony something. But Steve Harris was like, all right, if we've got AC/DC's producer, they're not going to try and drag us in any bullshit commercial path. We'll be able to do our version of it, which is Maiden's version is quite different to the original. But,
Okay.
Then Harris, for whatever reason, wasn't in the studio when they'd recorded it, and he came back, heard the mix that the producer and Dennis Stratton had done, and apparently it was well different. Like they'd changed everything, made it much more light, not the heavy version that Steve had sort of authorised. And it turns out that the publishing company had basically orchestrated this because they wanted a hit single. So they knew Dennis Stratton was the least metal of the band, and they basically roped him and the producer in to orchestrating a hit single for Maiden. And Harris was like, nah, ain't happening. So he fucked the producer off and remixed it back to what it was. So the version you hear on the record is the version that Harris authorised. And he said, I'll never, ever allow anyone to fuck with our music again. And that's why Steve Harris is the way Steve Harris is now.
Do you think that led to a certain departure as well?
I don't think that helped. I don't think he kicked him out for that, but I think it was the musical differences thing. But I think it would have stuck in Steve's craw. And the B side of it, they actually re-recorded Invasion from the Soundhouse tapes.
That's right. Yeah, so, I knew they'd recorded it at some point.
They recorded all of the Soundhouse tapes songs again for the albums, but just stuck this on the B side. And I don't know if you ever realised, but it was actually reworked into Invaders for a number of the Beast. They're both songs about Vikings. The riffs are similar.
I've never sat there and obviously I know there's Invasion and Invaders. I've never really put the two together and analysed it, but it's not out of the realm of impossibility.
They definitely reworked it for when Dickinson came along and what have you.
Oh, but, interesting.
But yeah, so that's that little oddity.
I'll have to play all three back to back for me. My homework next week. Nice one. I did read a little bit about that actually in this book that I referenced last week. It's not a bad little book actually. You've got a lot of people. It's basically just like a series of quotes from different. You've got Charlie Benenti from Anthrax, Biff Byford from Saxon, Richard Christie from Death and Iced Earth, Diano, Udo Dirkschneider from Accept, Doro Pesh, David Ellison from Megadeth, John Gallagher from Raven. You've got guys from Clutch, Scott Ian's in it as well, Lips from Anvil, Dave Lombardo, Dennis Stratton as well, and Glenn Timpson, Jeff Walters from Annihilator, and yeah. What's that? Sorry.
Who's who in it? Basically, who's been influenced by Maiden.
It's quite discussing the swap over. Actually, maybe you should save this really for next episode. But in fact, I'll talk about that when Bruce comes in. We'll do that next episode. But yeah, I think the Dennis Stratton leaving was musical differences really, wasn't it? There wasn't anything particularly.
I mean, obviously, what we just discussed probably didn't help the relationship. But now, at the end of the day, I think Harris wanted to get heavier because it was always he wanted to be heavy, or not heavy, but he wanted to be a heavier band than was there at the time. And he already had Diano pulling him in a way he didn't really want to go. And then with Dennis Stratton pulling in a completely opposite direction, it was a case of, look, no, mate, see you later. Yeah, and obviously, what's small behind Steve Harris as well, the guys didn't have a chance.
So the album artwork is basically an upgrade of the original. I think this is the one where Eddie truly finds.
Yeah, it's Eddie, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Eddie in his true form. Martin Birch, producer, and most notably the addition of Adrian Smith, formerly of Urchin. And I've got their album here. No, I haven't. And yeah, so everything's, for me, it's just like an upgraded new version of a car. Everything is sort of turned up to 11. Musically, they pick up where they leave off. I think there was only like 4 new songs on this at the time. Majority of it.
2 apparently I read, but this was on Wikipedia.
As little as that, yeah. 2.
Bollocks.
Dennis Stratton said that he did, a good chunk of this album he did play live at the time. and he apparently did a bit of pre-production. Apparently, he did the demos for this album. All exclusively written by Steve Harris, except for the title track "Killers," which Paul Di'Anno did the lyrics for, and "Twilight Zone," which is Steve Harris and Dave Murray. Is that
getting his usual song in?
Yeah. And even then, Twilight Zone wasn't an actual album track at the time. We're going to include it on this, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, apart from the Ides of March, which was written by Thunderstick. I don't know. What apparently Thunderstick was in the band for about 5 minutes. They were playing that song, and apparently he came up with it. And Samson did a. Have you heard Samson's version?
I haven't. No, I've heard the story though. So.
Well, it's one. I don't know. I guess we'll never really know. But I did listen to an interview with Thunderstick actually, and he did say basically he had a meeting with Steve and Rod basically went sign that. Like that. That's the bloody end of it. Now get out.
Yeah, fuck off.
So let's get straight into it then. The Ides of March. It's not really much, is it? It's just
one thing.
Yep.
This is you mentioned Martin Birch earlier, but you haven't mentioned the ever-changing nicknames of Martin Birch. This album, he was the headmaster.
Oh, really? Okay.
Every album, he had a different nickname. So I suppose it was an in-joke for them. But yeah, so it's just a little bit of Maiden sort of Easter eggs, really. It always changed. Yeah,
okay. Oh, that's another thing I weren't aware of. I learn something new every day. That's the great thing about Maiden. You're never a full expert. So the Ides of March, it's not too many thrills, really. I mean, so many albums nowadays have an introduction song. I would say at least this one they could actually play. It just sets the tone and sets things up, really, doesn't it? It's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's it is what it is. It's like I say, instrumental intro, drum fill to start. For me, could be considered another metaphor because obviously the Ides of March. Julius Caesar was assassinated by the Romans, 60 of them, and for me, this is another metaphor for Maiden coming along and assassinating the top guns at the time. I think they did it. Metaphor with Prowler, which I mentioned before, but I think this is another one for them, just saying, look, we're here, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
and it's this song, it great musicianship, but for me, there are better ways to open your second album because all the eyes are on you, all the ears are on you, and I think this is quite a weak way to open it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think Black Sabbath unknowingly invented heavy metal, whilst Judas Priest perfected it. And then Maiden came along and set the new standard when they came along, and then Metallica afterwards. And then we can carry on after that.
Yeah, those are the four bands, I think, like you rightly mentioned there. Without them four, metal is fucking totally different.
Yeah, and remember as well, Sabbath were always, we're just a blues band or we're just a rock band. We don't believe in labels. We're just us. We don't want to be boxed in, blah, 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 blah. Priest went, metal, yeah, okay, that's us.
Yeah.
We'll take that. They embraced it. So you could arguably... And the first ever album to be released in the UK under the heavy metal title was actually a Judas Priest album, apparently, as well. That was when the term was officially adopted.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right, so, bang, into it. Wrathchild. Still a regular in the set today. The unforgettable bass line introducing the song from Harry Harris. Good catchy riff, bam, bam, nice and bouncy. It's catchy. You get into it. Cool little story about a man searching for his father. Great vocals from Paul. Pretty much, it's not too adventurous, really, in the big scheme of things. When Phantom of the Opera or something like that, it's quite a straightforward song. Some good leads from Adrian. He's certainly introducing himself and sort of setting his mark. It goes through a few little weird sections, I suppose. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's straight into it. It's a great song, like you say. It's regular in the set. and it always will be. I remember, see, it seems to me like it's always written with Dickinson in mind, because Paul's vocals never quite did it justice for those screaming parts that Dickinson, you know, it was almost born to do. I mean, great drums from Clive, and it's an insane lead solo from Dave Murray. I mean, I remember seeing one of the gigs I did. It might even, I can't remember which one, it might have even been Raising Hell, Dickinson's last gig, but he played the solo with his fucking teeth, like Hendrix style, and it was awesome. Just seeing it, you know, it was brilliant. But no, it's a great song.
He is the most underrated guitarist, Dave Murray. He really does not get enough love. He's not even the most. He's even the underrated one in Iron Maiden, let alone the country.
He's savage. I mean, the Rothschild, it was left off the debut for some reason, because it actually was out on the Metal for Mothers compilation in '79. The demos that they actually released. So for some reason they were like, "Nah, this don't fit on the debut album." It's like, you fucking sure?
Well, I mean, when I first heard the song, actually, was when the first time I listened, I had anything to do with the Paul Di'Anno era of Maiden. The first thing I bought actually was the Live at the Rainbow Theatre video, and that just happened to be it. I was in a Virgin Megastore in Tottenham Court Road. I must have been going to a gig and just having a look before going into the Astoria or the LA2, one of them. And it was in that bit where DVDs had just come out. So there was a video section where they were basically selling what they had and then scaling it down. And the Maiden Live at the Rainbow was there for like $5. And I was curious of what it was like with that other singer, you know.
Yeah.
And so Rothschild was the first song I'd heard with Paul. And I remember then, you know, it's got a real good chorus as well. The Rothschild, you know, you could do all sorts of that.
You know?
But obviously, they open with Rothschild and then Killers and then just do a load of songs off the first album. You'd assume that was on this tour, but when I thought that was filmed when they opened up for Judas Priest, that was on the first album, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they did an off date. I think they did an off date where they headlined it, but no, it was on. I think it was 80, late 80 or even early 81 when Adrian joined, because that's something I was going to bring on later, but we might as well bring it in now. The version of Killers on that video actually has different lyrics.
Lyrics, that's right, yeah.
They hadn't even nailed the lyrics down yet, or Steve, whoever wrote them.
Yeah, and I always wonder as well, because that would have been, because Maiden opened for Priest on the British Steel Tour, that would have been a show.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, well, if that was them opening for Priest, surely the Priest set would have been filmed as well.
No, I think it was an off date. I think it was an off date. It was Christmas, I think, and they were like, you know what, fuck it, let's capitalise on our success, because by all accounts they owned that tour, and they wanted to capitalise on that, so they stayed and did an off date and sold out the fucking Rainbow and just released it on video.
So would that have been? Do you reckon they did a longer set that night?
I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one, because it was always like Made in England when that came out. That was never.
It was only half hour.
Yeah.
But I still love that. I mean, yeah, I guess, I don't know, because if there was more of it, you think you would have put like the full thing on the DVD.
Yeah, I think that is that, you know, just a short, sharp, you know, half hour. See you later.
Yeah, it might have been like a fan club only date or cheap tickets, because even though they did a couple of takes of each song, maybe they said, yeah, this is being filmed for a video or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Murders in the Rue Morgue. This is when things really get going for me. You've got the that great little melodic solo. That dun, 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 you know, it builds up. Ba, ba, bam, dun, dun, dun. I always drum along to this. And then that, you know, and Paul kicks straight in with the vocals. You could say this is sort of a prototype thrash song. Again, really good chorus, really great melodic section, great solo, and then it all comes back round to that chorus again at the end. Could this have opened the album? It certainly opened enough live sets in its time.
It opened the entirety of the Number of the Beast tour, Beast on the Road.
Yeah, the early years as well, when they did that tour in the 2000s, when they concentrated on the first four albums, they did it then as well, didn't they?
But I mean, for me, it's a great song, and it's It should have opened the album, really. It's much better album opener than Ides of March. I know Ides of March went straight to Rothschild, but it's a much better album opener. You've got the start, you've got the mellow intro, builds dynamics, comes up, and then the drums come up, and then you've got the melody before it goes into that insane drum fill by Clive Birch, and then it's balls to the wall. So yeah, it would have opened the album much better for me, and I think it's what lets Kill Us Down for me is the song ordering. But Adrian Smith, he's definitely giving that edge to the band that they didn't have with Dennis Stratton. I know the production helps, having Martin Birch doing it brings out the sound, but Adrian Smith is one of the finest guitarists that the planet has ever seen, and he's definitely brought an edge to Maiden, and it was noticeable obviously when he wasn't there, and it was noticeable when he came back. You know, obviously jumping ahead of ourselves, but he's that important to the band, and he'll prove to be even more important when he starts writing later on. But aside from Adrian, though, this is another example of what we said last week about Steve not just playing root notes. His fucking bass is all over it. You can hear fills, you can hear intricacies. You know, it's just a standout song, and it would have been much better as the album opener, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely airtight as well. There's just no room for light to get in. Even just that with the solo at the end, it's really melodic, and then it goes into that da 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 da, and then you even get a little bass before murders in a room. He even gets a little.
That's it. It's just that example. Would another bass player have thought to do that? You know, would they have just left silence there?
Yeah,
I was always thinking, you know, another level.
But no, this is Maiden on top form. I think this is one of their best ever songs. They're just on fire on this track, and they're just showing off of what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And then firing all cylinders, especially with this lineup as well.
Yeah, and unfortunately for me, it all goes downhill after this.
Oh, I was hoping, I was hoping that you'd go, oh my God. Where's this album been all my life? What have I been doing?
Mate,
Joe, you were right all along.
No, mate. The standout songs are the standout songs, and they can't be denied. But for me, this is Maiden at its best and at its worst.
Well, this would be a boring show if we just went, yes, it's brilliant all the way through. And you're entitled to be wrong. It's okay.
And I'm one of Maiden's biggest fans, you know. So
obviously not.
For me to have an opinion like this about one of the most revered albums, proves it. We're not all the same.
Yeah. Okay. So Another Life. I might as well talk about it. Well, you can tell me what's wrong with it, really, because I love this song.
Yeah, I mean, it's a well played, upbeat song, but it don't really go anywhere. It doesn't say anything for me, and it's the sign of. I know these were written all in a batch, but for me, this is a sign of Steve Harris running out of ideas and crying out for someone else to take over some of the writing or help him out with the writing. Because Geezer wrote 2 albums, I mean, fucking hell. What he'd written was phenomenal, but for me, this is the start of the decline that he's arrested on the next album. This is the start of the Maiden filler as well.
I think one thing as well, Clive Birch, I think, is really taking his drums from Brian Downey from Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
No, at the beginning. His stuff was very much like that. I think, you know, Bad Reputation?
Yeah.
So you turn yourself around. He's very much, he's just like that.
Any drummer like that would not have been, couldn't have been not influenced by the guy from Thin Lizzy. Because they were such a massive,
He's a really underrated drummer, actually. All of his drum patterns were fucking crazy, especially for his time, Yeah. He wasn't a metal drummer by any means, but metal drummers definitely took shots from him. And if you listen to Live and Dangerous as well, a song called Shalala, the drum solo on that is fucking phenomenal. And when I saw him on that first tour with the sort of revamped Thin Lizzy as well, he was still on good form then. So, but yeah, Another Life. I think this is again just a bit more of a straightforward rock song something a bit different for Maiden. Certainly not something they did much afterwards after this. But yeah, I think it's really good lyrics as well. Paul Di'Anno's only Paul Di'Anno, I think, could have sung this the way it's meant to be sung. It's got a bit of a die-hard, it's not really like Steve Harris to write lyrics like, I'm so tired of living, I might as well end today,
Yeah, no, it's got it all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah, but just those calls in the verse. So when Paul's sitting there like, as I lay here lying in my bed, that bang, down, bang, down, bang, while the other one's riffing away, you just got these open chords. I love that. Again, I keep bringing up Thin Lizzy, but
oh no, they're fucking Maiden is heavily influenced by Thin Lizzy. I mean, the dual guitar stuff, for fuck's sake, It's
and I mean, it's only a 3.5 minute song as well, so it's pretty straightforward. But again, you've got that little jam session, it just pauses with that, and then again we get a fucking bass solo. But I love that, and then it all just comes, that sort of thing. It just all goes up in the air, falls down, and then bang, straight into that original verse. Again, the sound of a band on fire. Great song. Great Saturday night. Beer, sticky carpet, shithole venue, awesome band on stage, and that's Iron Maiden. It's the Ruskin Arms.
I was going to say, you've just talked about it.
It's even there. Look, it's in the background, in the fucking thing. So, yeah.
And that was
Does that place even exist?
I played there. Yeah, it's still there. I mean, I played there a couple of times, and it was hideous.
Yeah, I played there once.
Yeah. I played my first ever full live gig there.
Sawdust on the floor, It
was grim. Fucking grim. But, it's iconic.
Right, so on to Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan. Come on, you heathen. Pronounce it correctly.
What did I say?
Genghis is Genghis.
Oh, fucking hell. This is
Come on, mate.
Oh, no.
I learned that from my wife because she's a massive, massive fan of that era. So she knows all about it.
Us English, we say things as we read them. So it's Genghis Khan. What do you think of Genghis Khan?
Yeah, I mean, it's the twin instrumental to Ides of March, and it both start with Clyde drum fills. But it's almost like, fucking hell, Dave, we've got a couple of minutes left of the vinyl. What do we do? And could it not be there? Quite honestly, yeah. I mean, but having said that, after the manic section in the middle, it breaks into a awesome lead section. That bit, fucking hell. I mean, that's some of Maiden's
finest solo.
Yeah,
awesome. Fantastic.
And that redeems it. That makes it worthy of its place on there. But up until that point, it doesn't really say much. In fact, they could have used that awesome lead section in another song.
I think it's a fantastic song. Do you remember the Paul Di'Anno live DVD? When the
I've never actually seen it.
In fact, this song isn't actually called Genghis Khan. It's actually called Fag Break Part 2. Transylvania's Fag Break 1. But yeah, the band opened with Transylvania, and then Paul comes out and they do Wrathchild, and then Genghis Khan opens the encore, if you remember. Remember that? Live in Poland, I think it was.
Yeah, no, I've never actually seen it.
No, there was one I brought round your house years ago.
Fucking hell.
It was called The Beast. The Beast Live or something like that.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah, I'd forgotten that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I'm a sucker for instrumentals, man, and you just don't seem to get them anymore. It really pisses me off.
But, these are just not very good.
No, I disagree. I think it's fucking awesome. I just love the and then it just goes off on one. It just goes into this great jamming session. There's no way a band could play this live without being tight as fuck. I mean,
you would fall down on your ass when
even you don't like it that much. You've got to admit.
No, the musician. No, fucking hell. I mean, even in Maiden's worst moments, when I think, fuck's sake, why did they even record that? The musicianship is still, it's another level, mate.
Yeah, and like you say, that great little melody, that and then just, I don't know if it's Adrian or Dave, but they just cut through it, and it's just lightning going through. Yeah, fantastic stuff. So I'm having a bit of a fucking mind block, actually. Innocent Exile, I can't remember how that one goes. Oh, this I do. My life is so empty. No, that's Another Life, isn't it? No, Another Life. As I lay here lying on my bed.
Right.
But that's Another Life. Innocent. It's my life is so empty. Nothing to live for. Yeah.
Your favourite album, mate? What's going on?
Oh no, I'm getting them all tangled up. I normally just play it in one long. It's just one long song to me. Again, that's is it a twin lead? But it's that yeah. It's coming back to me now. For some reason, I thought we was going into Prodigal Son, but I'm thinking, no, that's a bit too early. I'm guessing you don't think much of this song.
No, I mean it's another life. It's well played, but it's just filler. You know, Clive Burr does stand out on this. He plays his fucking arse off, and when they go into the intro again later on, he does an insane hi-hat fill with the hi-hat cymbal with his hands. It's so fast. It's like, fuck's sake. But you know, this is his standout moment, one of his standout moments on the album. But again, it's Maiden filler. A songwriter running out of ideas.
I'll compromise with you and say it's killer filler. How about that? There's a pun. If there are.
Well done.
I think this is maybe there are some songs that fill a gap, or maybe some, as I said yesterday, some songs this would be good in a live setting and probably wouldn't have.
I mean, let's face it, Maiden have never been shy of filler, have they?
Well. What I mean is, I think there's a lot of things. When I say earlier on that a lot of bands nowadays don't do instrumentals, I don't think a lot of bands nowadays get that song that, it might not highlight us at their best, but this song always goes down live, so we're going to record it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of bands, I'd say 99% of bands that are formed today don't cut their teeth live. The first album would have been played live. It was basically their live act, filed down and scraped down and filed here and smoothed off there and dropped that bit, speed that bit up, play that twice, and it was a refined version, like a statue being chipped away, and it was their perfect live set. Bands ain't doing that now,
No,
I mean, fuck no. I've got albums here where the bands haven't even met each other.
Yeah, it's
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people do miss that sort of song. I mean, even Sha-La-La-La-La, which I referred to by Thin Lizzy earlier. Great live song. It's great on the live album, but I don't even know if it was even on one of their albums. Thinking of it. They even there's a song they do at the end of the set as well called Baby Drive Me Crazy, which is baby, 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 crab. Baby, baby, baby. Baby, baby, baby. Baby, 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 drive me crazy. And it just goes off into a jam. He'll do a solo, then he'll do a solo, and then baby, baby, baby. Of course, they never recorded it, but live, it just works, And I think there's a lot of songs on these first two albums that are a bit like that. Drifter, when we come to that, I think is one. But yeah, I like Innocent Exile. Again, this has got that piss and vinegar, that raw Saturday night pub vibe. You have that on both albums. It is dropped on the third album, but it's something that I sort of revel in when I listen to these two. So, is there anything else you want to say on Innocent Exile?
No, I've said my piece on it, mate.
Right. Now things are going to get serious. Killers.
Carrying on the Maiden tradition of a title track.
Right, Luke, before we go forward, right, you can say what you like about my wife. You can say what you like about my kids. If you slag this song off, mate, this show is being cut short. All right, just put it out there.
It's almost tempting just to drop one in there. No, man, this song's a beast. I mean, admittedly, it's again in my notes. I said it's written for Dickinson, even if Harris didn't know it at the time, because the intro.
I think it's written for Cannibal Corpse.
Well, yeah, it's weird. It's totally different from Maiden. I know we've only got an album and a half to compare it to, but it's such a different song. but the intro screams. They scream out for the air raid siren at Durham, and when they did it on Made in England, it was awesome. But it is a great song. I mean, the bass and the drums, the hi-hat intro, it's awesome. Lyrics are out there as well. Musicianship at another level. It proved it on this song. I mean, old Murray's solo, when you see him doing it live, he dances along the fretboard, just crazy. Bottom string solo, must have torn his fingers to pieces. But it's, it's a great song. It's probably, the best song, best song on the album, possibly.
Possibly, yeah. No,
and
yeah, I'm fine with that. I would argue. I mean, this is one of my top 5 Iron Maiden songs. Period. I absolutely adore this song. I'll tell you what I've got right here, if I can find it. Of course I can't. As soon as I hang up later, it'll go. Oh, there it is. I've got an Anthrax bootleg on the Stomp 4 for. Oh, here it is. See that?
Yeah.
Live at the House of Blues. When was this recorded? Does it say? 2000s. Yeah. Opening with Crush. So yeah, Crush.
That's volume 8, isn't it? So.
Oh, was it volume 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crush, Fueled, I Am the Law, Antisocial, Inside Out, Room for One More. Anyway, and they do a cover of Killers.
Fucking hell. With
John Bush, of course, for listeners that weren't quite in the know there. Yeah.
Interesting one to listen to with Bush singing it.
Yeah.
His voice sort of sits in between Di'Arno's and Dickinson's for me. It's sort of in that mid.
He's got the edge, the grit of Di'Arno, but he's got the soaring highs of Dickinson, but it's still got that earthy grit.
Big time.
And you'll be surprised how high John can go. He doesn't do it. He doesn't rely on it. He reserves it for when it's needed. But yeah, I mean, I think a death metal band could cover this song. I couldn't see why not. The lyrics certainly fitted for it. Yeah. Again, it's just so atmospheric, and it pumps me up every time I hear it. Just like,
Maiden have always understood dynamics, going from the quiet to the heavy, with mellow and melody and all that. They've always understood that better than most bands.
Yeah, and it's just that, again, you got that bass line and thing, you got the clean melodic. Paul building it up with a yeah, and then just yeah, and then when that riff kicks in, never did anything like that again. I was just when that comes in,
completely unique, isn't it?
Yeah, and oh, fucking love it. Sinister lyrics as well. You walk through the subway, his eyes burn a hole in your back. Fucking brilliant. And then
I wonder what the lyrics were for that, like we brought up earlier on the Rainbow. I can't even remember what they were.
Bollocks. They are just what? Yeah, it's. I kind of something about a bright candle burn. We will stay here. It's none of it's makes sense at all. And yeah, just that again, that solo, that that again, lovely little jam section in a minute.
Totally different from Maiden.
Soaring that I can see to foresee, see, and then another fucking solo section. And again,
the live version on Made in England was fucking hell. It's so good. I played that over and over, and I wore the VHS out of that.
I remember. I think the first time I saw that concert, I actually borrowed the video off of you. And even then,
still life on it, didn't it as well?
Yeah,
and
one of my favourite Maiden songs, and if I ever do meet Harry Harris, that'll be my listen. Come on, it's 20 quid. Still life and Killers. Yeah, just trust me.
Yeah.
They'll love it. I don't need to hear Trooper for the 1,000th fucking time.
Yeah,
yeah, fantastic song. It's just a perfect slice of heavy metal, and I absolutely adore Killers. And moving on to another, I think anyway, underrated song. Much like if Remember Tomorrow is sort of like a dark, brooding song. Think of Remember Tomorrow as sort of like a I'm trying to describe it. Walking through just like a dark time, like a dark night, and all of a sudden you get through like this cave and you see sunlight, and there's that hope. So think of at the end of The Hobbit, when first part one of The Hobbit, when they're going through the woods, and it's getting to them how long the woods are. They haven't seen daylight for days. Yeah. Have we been working in circles? Is this ever going to fucking end? And all of a sudden, bang, there's daylight. I can't really remember the film. I actually remember the book more than the film. But yeah, and then all of a sudden look, and there's the mountain. They'd finally, just when they were starting to give up hope, there it is. And I kind of see like that. If Remember Tomorrow is night, this is the day. This is a much more upbeat song, even though the lyrics aren't very upbeat. But musically, and it's got that sort of progressive, sort of fantasy land.
It's almost folky. I mean, I fucking love it. For anyone who's not twigged, we're talking about track 8, Prodigal Son.
Sorry, yes.
But no, I mean, the acoustic guitars, I mean, fucking hell, Maiden, up to that point, that was completely new. And it's a great song. I mean, to be fair, I think I know what I just said about Killers, but I think this is slightly better than Killers on the album. I fucking love it. Great verse, great playing, and it works because it's different. And Harris, he's flexing his muscles, it's because this was one of the 2 new songs written for the album. So I think he might have had, with Adrian coming in, who's to say that this didn't give him a kick up the arse? Yeah. I noticed that the rest of the album sometimes trailed a bit. I mean, Killers obviously stands out, but I think Diano helped him out there. But Adrian coming in to help write this, I know he didn't get a credit on it, but he would have given Steve a kick up the arse, and I think this lit a fire under him because this song is
certainly
amazing.
He certainly helped to put it together. Yeah.
I think the solo, fucking hell, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's one of them solos that could be in a Hollywood film montage when the hero's had his ass kicked and he's trying to build it back up, like a Steven Seagal film where he's trying to do his training and stuff. I would imagine this solo section being played over that training, and then he's ready to go, sort of thing, and he fucking starts tearing his shirt off and then goes. But it's that solo. It sort of builds that sort of memory in my mind. It's a weird one, but I fucking love this song. It's a standout for me, big time.
Yeah, some of Paul Di'Anno's best vocals as well. That just when it comes after the first chorus, and you have that last little quiet bit where it's just them strumming, and he just holds that note over the top of it, just like a
Again, it makes just something that's come to me. How much did Martin Birch play a part? Because we always know that producers worth their bollocks always try and input, don't they? They always tell the band they always try and give them a bit of input. Did he have any input in this? Did he bring his experience? Because obviously working with some of the fucking, biggest bands that have ever been, he must have had some insight that Maiden had never thought of before.
He definitely, I think Steve would probably have had I've got ideas, but I'm not quite sure how to put it down, if you know what I mean? And he would certainly have gone, right, get the acoustic guitar out and record this over this and layer this over the top, and especially like the like that sort of opening note, dun, 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 the way that certain sounds,
it's much like jingly, isn't it? So I think big time he had an influence on this because it's just so far out there.
So you're agreeing with me? This is a very underrated song and a nice hidden gem in Maiden's catalogue.
Fucking brilliant! Like I said, it's best song on the album, mate. It's just not just takes the title from Killers.
I wonder if they ever played it live. They certainly haven't played it with Bruce.
No, never done. I'd imagine it's one of those that never made the grade, unfortunately.
I wonder if it's on Made in Japan.
If it,
'Cause
I'd say
I've got this bootleg box set where it's all 5. Yeah, 1 second. It's looking straight at me. And I've got all this. It's about 4 CDs, about 4 or 5 full shows.
Yeah.
They do Strange World.
Fucking hell.
Don't look like they do, no.
It's probably never been done. But you talking about Made in Japan?
Innocent Exile, they do.
Yeah, but they did that on the Early Days tour, I think.
Did they?
Yeah,
no,
sure.
don't look like they ever did it. That's a shame.
So, yeah, you talking about Made in Japan? Why you got it there? Have you noticed how the Eddie resembles the Eddie from Number of the Beast? It's got the hair, the Eddie hair from Number of the Beast.
Yeah.
Eric Riggs is teasing. And funnily enough, I'm going to come back to that when we do Twilight Zone.
Well, you've got one, haven't you? With his,
I'm going to come back
the
to
sword,
that next.
the samurai sword, and then there's this one. I've got another one somewhere.
Yeah, that's not the proper one is in with the samurai sword, and I'm getting my tracks confused because when we move on to Purgatory, which is the next song, that was a single, and the artwork for that is teasing Number of the Beast
because of the devil.
It's half and half, and that is the devil that would be on obviously the front of Number of the Beast. So Derek Riggs like the fuck around with his artwork because he always put Easter eggs and stuff in there.
Yeah, there's always stuff in the background, and
always there.
The Grim Reaper's always in the background.
There's
somewhere.
Always a little symbol, triangle with a thing coming off of it, like something you dial on the Stargate. It's weird, but that's always there.
I'm surprised some conspiracy theorist channels don't look deeper into Iron Maiden artwork because they could certainly have a fucking field trip because there's. If you look into it, there's loads of fun where they look. Oh, this symbolises that, and they've always got a certain thing for Rolling Stones album covers. But yeah, none of them ever seem. So give them like somewhere in time and just watch them go. Fuck.
Oh yeah, fuck, watch your heads melt.
So, right, Purgatory. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, best thing about it is the artwork for the single. It's another Maiden filler. It's when it kicks in, it's really awkward because music's good, as Maiden's music always is, but Paul's vocal line doesn't suit it. It sounds awkward, disjointed during the verse, especially. I mean, when the chorus comes in, the chorus is fucking great, so melodic and catchy, and it's there. But the verse sounds really awkward, and it's almost like Paul's struggling to keep up with the music because it's quite a fast song. But like I say, the chorus is absolutely fantastic, but it doesn't save it from being another filler track, and it's just too much filler on this album for me.
I feel like it's like a song that this would be something I'd open an encore with. Do you want one more? And then and then that lead into that lead that please take me away so far away. It's like they're playing it twice the speed that it needs to so they can hurry up and go home. It's like the venue's just gone, hold on, 2 minutes and the lights are going up.
Yeah,
we've already had last call. All right, one more. Play it twice as fast. Maybe they did. Who knows? But I can see what you mean by filler. But I mean, it's far from sort of what they're doing on Killers or Prodigal Son. But I still think it's a great song. I think this whole album flows really well, and it does. It plays like a live set.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the songs that obviously talk about Another Life, Innocent Exile, and Purgatory, and all the rest of it being filler. But in each of those songs, there is moments of fucking genius.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's got to the point where I'm almost going to skip the song, and then that section will come in, and it'll be like, oh, fuck, I forgot about this. It's Maiden, even in their rough, there's diamonds.
I mean, later on they would go on to do like 15-minute long songs, but I think all they did was take the songs that would be on these two albums, and they literally just pulled it open like that and just stretched it out a bit. Because there's so much going on in these songs, and they cram so much into such small spaces, really, because they're all about 4 or 5 minutes song, and some of the songs on this album are like 3 minutes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Rothschild's under 3 minutes. I think it's the only Maiden song that ever fucking didn't make it in 3 minutes.
And there's mini songs within the songs, you know. There's just so much going on that you really do. You do have to spend a lot of time with these 2 albums, you know. So Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Double A side, wasn't it? It was a weird one because it was it come out with Rothschild. It wasn't a B side to Rothschild. It was actually a double A side, which you don't get too many of. It was actually Rothschild Twilight Zone, and another Dave Murray song. Why it didn't make the cut, I don't know. Because if it did, it'd be one of the better songs on the album for me. And it's weird. It's a trend that started on the debut with Maiden. They take one of their best songs and leave it off. They did it with Sanctuary. They did it with this. And then they finally stopped doing it on Number of the Beast because they couldn't really do it any worse than they did with Total Eclipse.
Well, don't forget as well, a lot of albums around this time, the single and the album would be separate. It would be a thing to basically both. So the album would come out and the single with the B-side. So you'd get the album and the EP. You'd buy 2. That was pretty much, I think, how they did it. I mean, completely unrelated, but yeah, Joy Division, Love Will Tear Us Apart, like their most known song. It isn't on any of their albums, but it was a single. And it had the same, the artwork and the album artwork, they were the same theme, you know? And many an album, especially like your Rolling Stones and I think Beatles as well. Like what you would get now when you bought the CD would be completely different from the LP that you got. I mean, fucking hell, some of it was 8 tracks and things like that, you know.
Yeah.
So that comes into it as well. I think it was a lot of buy this and buy that, and you've got the 2 together. I guess the main reason they left songs off was time restrictions.
Yeah, I mean, you only had fucking 38 minutes, didn't you, or 40 minutes or something?
Yeah, and where it fits, not only that as well. I think the flow of the album, you got to take
you got A and B, ain't you? You got to take it.
Now you can go right. How do these songs flow? Put that one there, that one there, that one there, that one, and you don't think about it. But then you go, well, hold on a minute. We're not going to fit them on the first side, and then have loads of room on the second side. So they'd have to juggle them about anyway. I remember Monstrosity, their new album. Again, it's like the LP is the main one they were pushing, and the CD had 2 extra tracks. But Lee Harrison told me, but if you look, the track list is different as well. So not only have you got 2 extra tracks, that's actually the track listing in the order it's meant to be. Not only did we have to cut 2 songs off it, we had to juggle them around to fit it on the LP. That's something to think of as well. But back to Twilight Zone. A very straightforward number. It's not even 3 minutes long. Again, good straightforward rock, classic rock riff, really. You know. I think its main thing, it just kind of just plays itself, a bit like Purgatory, really. It's a bit of an encore song.
A lot of Dave Murray songs were like that. They're straight to the point, nice and simple. No time changes, nothing like that. It's just Dave Murray writing a good old-fashioned rock song, bosh, you know. Yeah. And it works. You need a bit of that.
I don't know if this would have been a better album closer, this or Drifter, to be honest, because they're both closers to me. I think as well, you know, you've got that play it quick vibe that you had on the last track. And I like Can You See Me? And then that yeah. And good fun song.
Yeah, it is.
Really. And then we've got Drifter.
Yeah, well, shame about that, really.
No, I really like this one. Again, this is a good song, I think, to close with in a live sense. I can picture doing this song live, especially at the end when it just all... I'm trying to think. Some songs where they might have like a revolving riff that they just keep playing over and over again and get like faster and faster.
I've got a bootleg from the Beast on the Road tour. It's called Night of the Living Dead. It was on American radio, and they played this right at the end of the set, and they do have a sing-along. Dickinson gets the crowd giving oh yo 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 or something, and they do extend it out. I think they make it about 10 minutes, which is 11 minutes longer than the song should be.
I do like the opening, that riff, and then you've got that sort of that weird little bit, sort of about a minute and a half in, because it slows down, doesn't it, to that slow part, and then you've got that sort of, it's like this weird little thing, and the guitar goes.
Yeah.
But I like how it all builds up at the end, and again, it just to me feels like a good closer to a live set with the whole I want you to sing it, and then I could just imagine getting the crowd with that one. I want you to sing it,
Yeah. For me, it's the worst song on the album. It's pointless, utterly pointless. And you think this is, I know it wasn't planned that way, but this is the end of the Di'Anno era, and it goes out of a whimper, not a bang. Especially when you compare, I know it's difficult to compare to later Maiden albums, because Maiden have always had, with very rare exceptions, they've always been about the opener and the album ender, and they've always invariably been
it's like a bookend.
On the debut they had Prowler and they finished it with Maiden, and on this one it sort of goes a bit tits up, because you got Ides of March and you got Drifter, and it's a bit like, oh really? And to some extent it carries over into the Number of the Beast, because Invaders, when you in a cold light of day, I mean, they didn't open their set with it. That shows how much they didn't have faith in it. So it sort of carried on, but this is not.
It does make you wonder, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's not a good way to end an album for me.
Was Invaders ever done live? Do you know?
I don't think it was.
I don't recall it ever being done live. Yeah, odd.
I mean, we can research that for next week, can't we? But
to be discussed. Stay tuned next week. I'm kind of repeating myself really, but I think it's a good fun song to close an album. Again, both these albums have got a very live gig vibe to them, and I can just see Drifter being a good set closer. And again, with Paul doing the whole sing it. Clive's drums underneath that are really good as well. So, yeah, I think we've got there. Do you want to do our conclusion?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it. I think, as I've said a couple of times now, I think the strain was shown on Steve. I know the songs were all written, bar two were written in the first batch of the song that Maiden wrote, but he was definitely, for me, he was running out of ideas on this one. He used all his best material on the debut, because there's nothing on this that even remotely comes close to Phantom or Transylvania or Prowler. Killers aside, perhaps, and Prodigal Son, definitely. But and it's the only Maiden album that hasn't got a 7-minute Steve Harris special.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's for me, it's one of the worst albums.
It was songs left over from the last album. Yeah, it was
which to me, it's almost like, funny enough, you bring it out, comparing it to Load and Reload, because all the songs were written pretty much at the same time, and Metallica front-ended Load and didn't leave a whole lot of quality for Reload. I think like Maiden have done the same thing, or I'm talking fucking 20 years before almost. But they front-ended the debut and didn't leave a whole lot spare for Killers. If they'd have mixed up the track listings a bit, my score wouldn't be 5 out of 10.
Fucking what?
That's what I'm saying.
5 out of 10.
Exactly. And if they'd have just juggled the track listing a bit with all those songs they had written, you have this moves up. But for the moment, there's not a whole lot keeping it. You've got Killers, you've got Prodigal Son, and one of the best songs they fucking left off, which is Twilight Zone. So yeah, 5 for me. There's bigger and better on the horizon, as we know. Hindsight is 2020, but this one, along with Virtual 11, is the least played Maiden album I've got.
Right.
Saving grace for it is the artwork. The artwork's fucking great, but the album doesn't live up to the artwork.
Richard Christie says in that book, he said it's the ultimate horror movie poster. Yeah. He said, like, as soon as you see it, you're just like, yeah, wow. To me, this is one of my favourite. I've got some. I'd say my top 3 albums are very odd choices, actually, and but this is one of them. I think this is absolutely superb. It's not, it's not perfect. It's got this, songs like Purgatory, but which are kind of simple, in Iron Maiden's terms, but they're still fun songs for me. I think it's a fantasy of mine. I'd love to form a band and do Iron Maiden covers. So do like an Iron Maiden tribute band of just this era. It's the only era I could hope to pull off. And I'd love to do just both albums in full. I think it's to me it's a 1-2 punch. I think Iron Maiden and Killers, the first two Merciful Fate albums. I'm trying to think of another two. Some albums just fit together. They're a twin pack. Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, and Mob Rules. The first two with Ronnie. Again, they just fit together. You can't just get the one. You need to have both. And I think this is a case of that. Again, it's a like I concluded on the last episode. This is an era that cuts off here. A lot is left behind. Maybe necessarily so, but it's still something that I like to revisit. And I do kind of think of this era of a band as its own little entity, like bit like the Eric Bell era of Thin Lizzy. The first three albums with the original guitarist, they completely changed on the next album. But yeah, I could go on and on and on about this era of the band. I love these two albums. I love Made in Japan. I love the B-sides from this era as well. I don't think this lineup of the bands did a bad song. Burning Ambition, I love. I even like I Got the Fire, is it? The Montrose cover. I like Women in Uniform. Fuck it. As trashy as it is, I'll still enjoy it. What's her name's in the is it Leslie Ash in the video?
Yeah, she is.
Shit video, but I still love it. Yeah. Even for all its faults. But yeah. So this is a not objective, a subjective 10 out of 10 for me. I would never argue that there isn't better stuff later on. Bit like Terminator 1 and 2. Objectively, I would never argue Terminator 1 is better than 2. I just prefer 1 for my own sentimental reasons. And I'm very, very sentimental when it comes to this era of the band. So, and you're wrong. So, yeah, moving on. We have got Number of Beasts coming up next week. I think we've still got a bit of a maiden run. We're going to be interjecting solo albums and other bands.
I think we get right away through.
I think we get through Power Slave before we digress into other things. But yeah, second episode done. We're rocking now, mate. Ain't no stopping us now. We've got the groove. You still there, mate?
I'm still here.
Oh, right.
Internet spazzed out a bit there.
Oh, right. So, yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. Like and share.
Indeed, share it.
And we'll see you all again soon.
Metal.
Take care, folks.